Hello and welcome again. This is Imran Siraj and I'm teaching a subject called Strength of Material of BTech Mechanical Forcing. And we are studying the third unit, and that is uh, we are discussing columns and struts in the third unit. So yesterday we talked about in the last lecture we talked about the columns and struts and what are columns and struts. So as we discussed, struts are the elements that are subjected to compressive loads, and columns are the vertical case where the struts could be in any direction, horizontal or inclined, and its special case is called column or pillar. So strut may be horizontal or inclined or even vertical, but a vertical strut is always known as column, pillar or stanchion. This is the third name that we have never heard of, stanchion, and it is not common name. We have commonly heard as pillar or column. So the members that must be uh, capable of transferring the load to the base is called column. Is called column, vertical element. So this is crushing load. We have yesterday found the value of crushing value of the column under which buckling value or buckling load or crushing load. This was the condition of Euler's theory that we have earlier studied. Now this was the Euler's theory that we have earlier studied, and we derived on the basis of assumption this formula: WCR or crumbling load or buckling load, crippling load or buckling load as C pi square EI by L square. So by taking L, we substituted and we got finally C pi square EA divided by L by K square. L by K is known as slenderness ratio. L by K is given as slenderness ratio. So this is basically ratio between length and minimum radius of gyration of cross section. Minimum radius of gyration of the cross section L by K is known as slenderness ratio. We'll find at a later stage the slenderness ratio, and right now we'll be coming to the problems, solved examples, how the buckling load or crippling load is found in a column. So we know the notations. C is the constant. Depending upon the C is the constant, this will depend upon what type of supports is given at the end of columns. It is hinged or fixed, both ends, or one end fixed, one end free. So this will define the value of C. Pi we know. E is the modulus of elasticity or Young's modulus of elasticity given for every material. Then I is given as moment of inertia. And we know as moment of inertia is equal to area into K square Ik square. We have earlier studied this. I is equal to AK square, where K is the radius of gyration and K is found K equals I by A, square root of I by A. So this way we find radius of gyration, where I is the moment of inertia and A is the area, cross-sectional area of the section of which we are trying to find the crippling load. So this is L length of column, C constant representing the end conditions of column and or N fixity. So we see the values of C is equal to 1, 4, 2 and 0.25. If both ends are hinged, that means it has the effectiveness that it can rotate in a plane, and it can go either direction. It is not constrained. It can rotate, it can move in one direction. First condition we have studied in our last lecture was that from both the ends it has been pinned. So in that case we found length and deviation from the original position, and C will be taken as 1 if the both ends are hinged. That way it has the capability of moving in either way. So C is equal to 1, and if both ends are fixed, then crippling load will have 4 times greater than the hinged condition, because there is no way to escape. So the chances are that column will buckle down, and so value of C is taken as 4 in case the both ends are fixed, and also if one end fixed and one end hinge, it will be taken as 2 half 2, or it will be twice as greater as both ends are hinged, because when the both ends are hinged, it has more flexibility and more degree of freedom. So this way the fix in hinge fix sorry the both ends hinge will have minimum crippling load as compared to both end fixed or one fixed one hinge. Also, one fixed and one free is the maximum degree of freedom, and it has the maximum mobility a column can have. So second condition, first condition we have studied both conditions hinge, where we have now will taking value of C is equal to 1 if both hinge both the ends are in, and both fixed 4 and one fixed and one hinge 2 and one fixed and one are free, it will be quarter 0.25. That means it will have the minimum buckling load if one end free and one end fixed. We have found the values in our last class. So we'll be substituting the values C142 and 0.25. So now we are coming slenderness ratio. L by K is known as slenderness ratio, where L is the length of the column and K is radius of gyration. So limitations of Euler formula. Crippling stress. What is the limitation? Is that we have earlier studied if the material is not following the standard condition under which we have considered the column, then it cannot be extended to that condition. So here we'll be calculating for crippling load and crippling stress or bending stress. So we'll be calculating for a condition where the crushing stress for mild steel is 330 Newton per millimeter square, and Young's modulus E is given as 0.21 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square. So we can find slenderness ratio L by K, since we are given sigma, this is crippling load or buckling load, and if it is divided by the area, cross sectional area, it will be coming as crippling stress. So this way we'll calculate L by K slenderness ratio. So substituting these value, we'll be finding slenderness ratio C is equal to 1 means when we have both ends hinged. So we have taken that condition, keeping C is equal to 1. That means we have got this L by K. So we got L by K as 80 for mild steel column that has basically uh, hinged at both the ends. By taking C is equal to 1, we have calculated. So slenderness ratio, Euler's formula for for a mild steel column is not valid, since slenderness ratio is more than 80, or known as long columns. Sometimes columns whose slenderness ratio is more than 80 are known as long columns, and those whose slenderness ratio is less than 80 are known as short column. It is thus obvious that Euler's formula holds good only for long columns. So we have to apply for Euler's formula for L by K 80, L by K greater 80 or more than 80. So this is the case where this is the limitations under which we cannot apply Euler's formula. So we have to, first of all, we have to check L by K ratio. If L by K ratio is less than 80, we are not going to solve this problem by Euler's formula. Otherwise, we are going to solve this problem by Euler's formula. So equivalent length of a column. So what is the equivalent length or effective length? So crippling load according to Euler's formula is given as WCR is equal to pi square EI by L square, where L is the equivalent load or effective load, that is slenderness ratio. So we have calculated, so we can see here L by K, C pi square E by L by K. So this is what we have got L by K, and equivalent length of a column. Both ends hinge, L is equal to 1. Both end fixed, L is equal to L by 2. Then L by root 2 and L is equal to twice of L. These four values are to be taken in case of both ends are hinged. That means effective length or equivalent length of the column will be same as the actual length. So if both the ends are hinged, the actual length and the effective length or equivalent length will be same. But in case of both end fixed, the actual length will be half of the effective length. Actual length will be half of the effective length, and one end fixed and one hinge, L by square root 2. And whereas if both the ends are free, then effective length will be double of the actual length. So these are the conditions that are taken for the purpose of calculation. So where we have solved the example, where we have to see, where we have to find different types of problems and different types of conditions we'll put. So let's evaluate a T section whose dimensions are given. So we have to find uh, crippling load and Young's crippling load WCR, or bending load that is going to fail to this column. So these are the given dimensions. So a T section 150 mm by 120 mm by 20 mm, that is T section is given as 150 mm by 120 mm and 20 mm. So T section is like this. So this is a column of made up of T section, T angle, of which length, flange length is given as 150 mm, and from flange length to the bottom length is given as 120 mm, and 20 mm is the thickness. So this is 20, 150, 20. This is called web. This is called flange. T point or head of the T is known as flange, whereas the bottom leg is known as web. So we will have this point G, where the centroid or center of gravity of the whole body will pass through. So first of all, we have to find the centroid, and centroid we have already calculated in the case of moment of inertia. So we are not going to again to calculate the moment of inertia and centroid. So centroid is 34, y bar is 34. That means the if we find this, if we take this and this, so from the top it will have 34, from the top it will have 34, from here to here this is y bar, and from here this will have 34. Whereas in case of x, since y figure is symmetrical about y, so this will have center, that means 150 by 2 will have 75 from this end. So now we got the value of bar x and bar y that we have earlier calculated, so no need to calculate again. So no need to, just we have to put up the values 34 mm, and then we have to calculate moment of inertia Ixx, BD cube by 12 plus this is Ixx and this is I by y. We just discussed about in moment of inertia, we have calculated also already calculated the values of Ixx and Iyy of T section and I section. So we are not going to repeat it again. Ixx and Iyy value are found. So this way the values of 6.1 into 10 power 6 mm4 and 5.7 10 power 6 mm4. So since Iyy is less than Ixx, therefore the column will tend to buckle in YY direction, which value is less. So value less is 5.7 and 6.1 is higher. So Iyy is less. So the column will try to buckle or bend in the YY direction. This way we will take the value of I as Iyy because the column is going to fail in Y direction. So Y direction 5.7 Iyy we got. So I is the value moment of inertia, that is 5.7 to the power 6 moment mm4. Now we have got the value of effective length L. So effective length L or equivalent length L will be 4000 meter or 4 meter, because this is the case of hinge at both the ends, and we have already studied that in case of hinge at both the ends we are going to L is equal to L. Otherwise, if any for any other case, we would have taken L by 2 or L by root 2 or twice L. So right now we got the value of L is equal to small l. So this way we have placed the value. Crippling load now can be calculated. Pi square EI by L square, pi square 3.14 into 3.14, that is 9.87. E value of E is already given, 200 into 2 power 3. I value we got. Now length is equivalent length 4000 to 4 meter. So this way we have got crippling load, that is coming 703 into 10 power 3 newtons. So we can say that crippling load is about 703 kilonewton for a column having 4 meter length and hinged at both the ends, will fail in YY direction and will have a crippling load around 703. Another example is even there. We can calculate very simple example, and this way you will have to practice. You have to practice on different examples so that you are acquainted and you get to know how the crippling load is calculated. You can see I section of cross section area. So first of all, we have to find centroid. After finding centroid, we have to find Ixx and Iyy. When Ixx and Iyy are found, we'll see which one is lesser. If Ixx is lesser, we'll say that the column will bend or will fail in Xx direction, or it will fail in YY direction. So this way we have got Ixx, taking I moment of inertia of whole of the body, then subtracting the moment of inertia of these two that are basically eliminated or evacuated. So this way we have got Ixx and Iyy. So check. Then we got Ixx 200 and Iyy 13.36. That is again Iyy will be effective value or will be taken as moment of inertia, because column is again going to fail in YY direction. So substituting these value, and we have to got L equals L by 2, since both ends are fixed. So we'll have equivalent length as the original length divided by 2. So this is called, so this is the way of finding the crippling load. Substituting the value, we'll be getting 2,930 kilonewtons. So this was how to calculate the crippling load by Euler's formula. Rankine formula we are not going to discuss in detail, but just to know how this is applied and what is the difference. Rankine formula is slightly different. It is also important formula for columns. So in Rankine formula, we are going to discuss crippling load by Rankine's formula, ultimate crushing load of the column WC, and Euler's formula. So if we take reciprocal of Euler's formula, if we take reciprocal of crippling's formula, ultimate crushing load, and we add up, we are going to reciprocal of the Rankine formula. So these are the summation of reciprocals of Euler's and ultimate crushing load, take reciprocal of Euler's, take reciprocal of crushing load, add, and you will be getting reciprocal of Rankine's formula. So this way you can calculate the crushing load by Rankine's formula as well. So ultimate crushing load sigma C into A, sigma C stress, crushing stress, and A is the cross sectional area. This is crippling load that we have earlier calculated by the value of Euler's formula, and taking reciprocals and calculating, you can see what is the result. So this is the result that we are not going to discuss anymore. So just for the sake of basic knowledge and basic purpose, you can take, and you can also solve. You can also solve the problem by application of Rankine's formula, Euler's formula, and ultimate crushing load. So these are given three. Another important formula is Johnson's formula for column, that is also given as cross sectional area of sigma A minus sigma 2 sigma y by 3 by L by K cylinder. This ratio is square root of sigma y by 3 c into A. So this you will check. This is again Johnson's formula for columns. So this was about calculation of Euler's formula, crushing load, and crushing stress. I hope with these two examples, you have got to know how to calculate crushing load and crushing stress, and in what direction the column is going to fail. So this was this example would have explained better. If you have got any problem and these two are not clear or may have some confusion, you may get in touch with me at my phone number 9069360400. So for the time being, I'm signing off. I'll be checking in the next lecture. Okay, bye. See you.